We hear a lot about climate change and global warming in the news, and it seems to be a hot political topic these days. So, if you're going to formulate an informed opinion concerning this topic, here are 12 things to consider while formulating your opinion. 1. Humans have been doing destructive things to our environment for millennia, which means that it's completely possible for us, at our level of civilization that we have today, to be destructive of the environment as well. Let me give you a couple examples. Ancient Sumeria, this area, which today is part of modern-day Iraq and the Middle East, was at one time covered with cedar forests, which had been there since the end of the last ice age. The earliest human civilizations cut down these forests to make way for growing crops like wheat, and then used water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in complicated irrigation networks to water the farm fields. Easter Island, at one time, when Polynesian settlers first inhabited the island around 1200 AD, it was full of forests. Because they needed to clear land for cultivation, the wood for building homes, for moving their giant stone statues called moai, for cooking, and other things. Eventually they cut down every last tree on the island, which caused a great ecological change. 2. Earth has been going through warming and cooling trends for at least the last million years according to paleo data. We even have historical records for cycles within the past 1,000 years or so, such as the medieval warm period, 900 to 1300 AD, and the Little Ice Age, 1450 to 1900 AD. And, none of these trends were based on humanity but on natural cycles and events. 3. The Sun goes through natural warming and cooling cycles, which have been understood and recorded since 1843, when Heinrich Schwab recognized an 11.1-year solar cycle. So, we know that the Sun has an effect on global warming. 4. Of course, we also know that the sunspot cycle does not seem to correlate to global average temperatures and CO2, carbon dioxide, levels in the atmosphere, suggesting that the temperature of the planet, and the level of CO2 is increasing for other reasons other than national cycles. 5. The Earth has a natural ability to heal itself. It is very good at naturally fixing problems caused by us humans. For example, if we give the planet enough time, all the plants and algae will naturally extract all the excess CO2 out of the atmosphere, thus solving a problem that we created. 6. There are many political leaders, particularly on the political left, that are trying to use climate change as an excuse to pressure us into giving up some of our rights and freedoms for the sake of protecting the environment and stopping global warming through reducing carbon emissions. 7. We really need to consider whether excess CO2 in the atmosphere, leading to a warmer planet, is as detrimental for the human race, and all other life on the planet, as it is claimed. For example, it is my understanding that the extra carbon dioxide, CO2, in the atmosphere actually increases the growth rate of plants, and increases our farm crop yields, thus increasing the food supply for humanity. In this way, increasing amounts of carbon in the atmosphere can actually be to our benefit. 8. In terms of our technical abilities to control the weather, we really don't know how much control of the weather we humans really have. Climate change is actually way worse than we actually think, and if it wasn't controlled, our sea levels would be much higher and our coastal cities all over the world would be underwater, and so governments around the world have been using secretive technology and classified programs to keep our planet from warming up even more, because they know that if we did nothing it could cause social instability and collapse of our civilization. 9. We really need to be very careful about creating policies and laws that go to extreme measures to reduce and eliminate carbon emissions, as such laws and policies have a huge potential to disrupt, implode, or destroy our economy. And when that happens, that could lead to widespread destitution on a massive and widespread scale. And we know what that means: widespread environmental destruction, and of unprecedented proportions, that completely counteract any pro-environmental and anti-global warming policies and laws we put in place. 10. Socialism has historically been bad for the environment. If you don't agree with me, keep in mind that we have had over a century of experimentation with every different kind of socialism that you can think of. And what have been the results of these experiments? Widespread environmental destruction, all for the sake of society's collective best interest. 11. Yes, this warming cycle that we are presently going through is causing massive amounts of ice in our polar ice caps to melt. Think Arctic Ocean, Greenland, and Antarctica, leading to potential rises in our sea levels, which have the potential to flood many of our cities that are on the coasts around the world. But let's say that in the near future that we develop the technology to keep our sea levels from rising, despite the increasing amount of water coming into them from our melting ice caps, which could be to our advantage. 12. What if a slightly warmer planet is actually good for humanity and all life on Earth? In northern Canada and Russia's Siberia are large land areas that today are home to massive boreal forests. These lands aren't very populated, nor are they used very much for agricultural reasons, but only occasionally for mineral extraction. Why? It's very cold in these places for much of the year, and the warm season there is very short, meaning these lands have a very short growing season. A slightly warmer planet would mean a slightly longer growing season, which would have the potential to open up massive amounts of land, along a band at the southern edges of these boreal forests, for agricultural purposes. It would mean that these lands have the potential to support a population where previously they didn't. Conclusion. Now that you understand these 12 ideas, now you can form a more informed opinion concerning global warming, climate change, and carbon emissions. There is, though, 2 more ideas that I want to throw into this mix. First, we humans are fully capable of solving all problems that fall upon us. We are creative, innovative, intelligent, and if we take advantage of our mental faculties and learn how to work together, we have the potential to solve all of our problems. Second, if you understand the role of hardships and difficulties when it comes to the evolutionary process, or even when it comes to societies and nations becoming stronger and more advanced, as you see in your studies of human history, you know that problems can be to our benefit, and difficulties can become flipped into blessings, detriments can be turned into benefits.